Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, I have an interview with Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. She is the award-winning CEO of Incredible One Enterprises LLC, a multi-million dollar coaching and consulting brand. She's best known for transforming audiences from the moment she opens her mouth. Darnyelle equips her audiences with strategies to leverage and scale their businesses with grace and ease instead of hustle and grind. She's committed to growing companies financially and spiritually. She shares her Move to Millions framework so others can increase their influence, income, and impact. All right, let's dive into the interview. Hey, Darnyelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to chat. So, why don't we start off? Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, so this is always a loaded question for me because there's so many directions I can go in. But I'll start here. I am an award-winning CEO of a company called Incredible One Enterprises. We work with six-figure service-based entrepreneurs, and we help them to become CEOs who make, move, and leave millions, leveraging our proven framework, the Move to Millions method. And I'm also a daughter, a wife, crazy, and just living my best life.
Amazing. I love it. So, how did you get into this?
So I was in corporate America. I literally woke up one day in 2004 and realized that I was no longer meant to sit behind someone else's desk. That was what started me into entrepreneurship. And so I literally walked into my boss's office and quit my job with no plan. And while I was trying to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up, I started working my Mary Kay Cosmetics business full time. And so within 5 months, I picked up my very first pink Cadillac, went on to win a total of 2 pink Cadillacs with the company before I decided that, yeah, that was fun, but that's not really what God called me to do. So then in late 2007, I had a dream. And in my dream, I saw myself walking into a building that had a marquee that read Incredible One Enterprises. And so the next morning I woke up, I grabbed my journal and I said, okay, God, what in the world is an Incredible One Enterprise? And so what I heard my spirit tell me is that was to use my gifts and talents in order to transform the world. And so that initially started out with me doing and speaking. So I was a motivational speaker traveling all around the country. And then eventually I realized that being a motivational speaker is like you can only get paid once. And so I have to find a way to make more money, right? And so I decided to leverage my MBA and my background in business to become a business consultant to be able to expand my paydays. And here we are today, some many years later, having the opportunity to work directly with entrepreneurs and small business owners and showing them how to build a company that makes millions of dollars every year so that they can also build a financial legacy. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
So cool. Okay, let's dive into your Move to Millions method. What is that?
Okay. So the Move to Millions method is our proven framework that we use with our clients. And what I love about it the most is that it is business model agnostic. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have, what business model you have. It doesn't matter if you're a corporation, a governmental entity, or a small business freelancer working out of the back of your car. The method is comprised of 5 pillars. Strategy. Everybody needs a very clear strategy. A sales infrastructure. Everyone needs a way to sell one to many instead of selling one to one. Systems. Everyone needs systems, operational infrastructure systems, as well as software. Everybody needs support because you cannot make millions by yourself, and everyone needs a success mindset. So regardless of where you are in your business, we work directly with our clients to help them to hone in on each of those 5 things. So from a strategy perspective, what is the problem you solve? What is the solution you provide? What is the price points associated with it? And how much profit are you going to be able to earn when you're leveraging that solution on behalf of your client's problem? From a sales perspective, again, there's only so many sales you can make if you're selling one person at a time. So how can we get you into a leveraged sales system so that you can turn one-to-one yeses into one-to-many yeses? So typically we do that through events. So whether we're talking virtual or live events or speaking on stages, how can we get our clients on stages in front of their ideal clients so that they can leave every speaking engagement with new clients already lined up, signed up, or at least conversations with those potential people lined up and signed up? And then what are the systems that they're going to leverage in order to be able to make scaling replicable and duplicable, because it's not about speed to scale. It's about being able to replace yourself and to duplicate your efforts many times over in succession through systems to be able to make that happen. And then who are the right people you need on your team, right? Because you need a team, but how big should your team be? We believe that you should have 3 teams: an operations team, which is responsible for the day-to-day, a marketing and sales team, which is responsible for leads and sales, and a talent team, which is responsible for client service delivery. And then, of course, mindset runs through everything that we do, because often when a person isn't ready to take the steps to go to the next level and cross the $1 million mark, it's because they don't believe that they deserve it. They don't believe that they're worth it. They're not willing to show up fully for themselves. They've got to make some changes to their relationship with money. And so by covering each of these 5 pillars, what we've seen happen across our clients, so whether we're working with a corporation or an entrepreneur, small business owner, in instituting strategy, sales, system support, and success mindset is the key to being able to scale and sustain to and beyond the $1 million mark.
Cool. Where do you see people getting stuck at the most?
2 places. First, success mindset, because there's always an inner game that needs to be up leveled.
Yeah.
And then second, the biggest challenge that I see is strategy. And I think the reason why we see the challenges there so much is because there's a million strategies you could be leveraging.
Yeah.
And if you are, most entrepreneurs are, big picture visionary people. So that means they get caught up in all the bright, shiny objects.
Yeah.
And a new strategy pops up and they're like, oh, let's try that one. And let's try that one. And they're not giving the strategy enough time to see if it'll work. It can take up to 90 days to really validate whether or not the strategy you're using is the one you should be using. And I think people get impatient. And so they switch their strategy, like they change their underwear. And as a result, that delays their ability to get an infrastructure in place that'll support them being able to consistently do the same things over and over again to get to the $1 million mark. Rachel, I tell people all the time, business is boring. Once you figure out who you are and what you do, you are literally rinsing and repeating it every single day.
Yeah.
And that can be challenging for a big picture visionary. And so that is what keeps them from making millions.
Yeah. That's huge. I think people just get shiny object syndrome. They're like, I want to try this and this and this. And I'm like, no, stay in your lane. You're really good here.
Yes.
Cool. I want to ask you about selling on stages.
Okay.
That was kind of the thing I was drawn to as you were talking. So what does that look like? What is like the price point? How are we finding the stage? Give me.
Yeah. So selling on stage, just to define it very simply for everyone, is you are brought in to speak. So typically a keynote, but you could also be in a breakout session where you have a group of people in the audience. I personally love a good breakout session because everyone who's come into your room wants to hear your topic. They've self-selected into whatever it is you're going to be talking about. You present information to them that demonstrates your expertise, allows you to be vulnerable and transparent about your own journey, and begins solving their problem. And then you introduce them to the next step, how they can continue to deepen this experience and go to the next level through a program, a product, like whatever it is that you're selling, a book, right? Whatever it is that you're selling. And you position that solution as their next best step. And then you make them an offer to access the solution. Yeah. So, and what I mean by that in plain terms is you tell them what the investment is going to be. I want you to notice that I said invest as opposed to the price, right? Because they are making an investment. Every investment has the potential to get a return, and you're going to use your talk on that stage to demonstrate the possible return for them. And the way that you do that is through sharing client success stories, testimonials, and case studies so that they can see themselves inside of the solution that you've already helped someone else to access and begin to wonder what it would be like for them themselves to be able to get it. And speaking on stage can happen on someone else's stage, meaning someone has invited you in to speak, or your own. Oh, and you can do it on a virtual stage. If you do a webinar or a masterclass or go live on Instagram, that is a stage. Yeah. And if you have a captivated audience and you position yourself appropriately within the time that you've allotted to share what you're going to share with them, you could walk away from that, even live, with new sales. And so any way you want to do it in terms of getting in front of people, it's the perfect way to leverage sales. The most that I've made speaking in front of an audience was $237,000. It happened in an audience it was interesting, really, Rachel, because the audience was predominantly white men, old white men, to be exact. And And for those of you who will be able to see this, I'm a brown girl, right? And so I went into that speaking engagement. I was speaking at the Indiana Bankers Association's annual meeting. Mm-hmm. So there was 1,500, mostly white males in the audience. There were a handful of women, very few people of color who looked like me. And I was nervous because I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know if these people are going to get it. But I did my thing, and I know marketing. My talk was market like a rock star. And my offer was an opportunity for them to come to a boot camp or to send someone to a boot camp to learn how to market in order to increase traction into their branch. My offer was $1,500 for this boot camp. It was a 30-day, 4-week boot camp. This was circa 2010, just to make sure people understand what the price point. And 1,500 people in the room. We ended up enrolling more than 100, like we did $237,000. So however many people that is how many people we got to sign up out of that 1,500. Yeah. And it was one payment for 1,500. I literally left Indiana with $237,000 being processed through my merchant account.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For like an hour of your time.
Right. At that point in my career, I had never made that kind of money in 60 minutes. So it was amazing.
Okay. How do we find these speaking engagements?
So speaking engagements happen every single day in this country. So 4,000 events happen every single day. Yeah. And there's a myriad of ways to search. So here are some of my favorites. In your city or state, go to your Convention and Visitors Bureau. They will list every conference coming in, even if it's, regardless of the venue. They'll list them all there. Once you have a list of the conferences, you can then reach out to the meeting host and pitch yourself to be a speaker. That's one way. Another way, you can search, you can literally go to Google and put in call for speakers, insert your topic, and insert the city. So you don't even, you don't even necessarily have to get on a plane to get some of these speaking engagements because they're probably happening right where you live or close enough for you to be able to drive or take the train to get there. So by putting into Google call for speakers, women's conferences, Philadelphia, every women's conference in Philadelphia is going to come up. Many of them are going to have active calls for speakers, which means that there's an application on the event site that you can go and fill out to be selected to speak. Another thing that you can do is you can go to eventbrite.com and you can search for the city, and all the events that are happening in your city will come up. You can also do this at Chambers of Commerce. You can do it on Facebook, and Instagram doesn't have events, and LinkedIn. So there are a myriad of ways for you to find. You can talk to the people that you know and say, hey, what conferences are you going to this year? And reach out to those people. Now, what you need to have in order to present or pitch yourself for an opportunity to speak is you need to know your topic. My recommendation is always that your topic parlays into the theme of the conference, because you'll get preferential treatment to them trying to figure out how they can get you on the schedule. So that's the first thing, know your topic. Number 2, know the increments of time that you could do your topic in. For instance, a conference might have 20, 30-minute breakout sessions. Can you do your talk in 30 minutes? They might also have 45-minute sessions or 90-minute sessions. So know the various ways that you can do your talk. Number 3, know your blurb and your 3 to 5 learning objectives, what the participants of your talk are going to walk away with. Number 4, know what concessions are going to be required for you to do it. A lot of the national conferences will not pay you to speak, but they will put you in front of buyers who can buy. So you need to know where your concessions are. Examples of concessions. You're not going to be able to pay me to speak. Are you recording the conference? Can I get a copy of my session? Now you have a professionally shot video that you can use to go get other speaking engagements. That's an example of a concession. And then the 5th thing that you want to make sure that you know and you have is how this talk is going to be different from other talks on the same or similar topics at that particular event. Once you know all of that, you'll have all of the information that you need to either A, fill out an application, or B, reach out to a meeting host and present yourself as a possible solution to a topic that they should have at their event. I'm so excited. I can't get my words out. But those are just quick tips of things that you can do to find some of these events. I also like to go to see other people who are in my industry and technically do what it is that I do and see where they've spoken.
Mhm.
So if a conference brought Rachel in this year for their event and we talk about the same thing, I would position myself and talk about how my talk would be different than Rachel's for next year, so that next year I might get booked. So that's another thing that I like to do.
Are they usually open to you making a pitch, or do you have to do like an affiliate deal, or how do you negotiate that?
They vary. There's lots of different options.
Yeah.
Some people, like, we go in, we do 25 pitches a day to speak.
Wow.
And some of them are straight to, we're having a conversation with a decision maker and they're deciding if they want to book us. And these are for paid speaking engagements.
Got
We
it.
also, every single day, we're looking for places that we can apply that will put us in front of our ideal client. Because if it's the right engagement and my people are going to be in the room and they've paid something to be there, I'm willing to go and invest to be there so that I can get in front of people who could become my client. So I look at the speaking engagements where I'm not being paid as my marketing dollars, because this is one of the primary ways that we market and move our business forward.
So if you're doing 25 a day, how many do you actually get? How many are you doing?
So at the end of the week, we might be in conversation with 10 to 15. So we've sent 125 pitches out and we might be in conversation with 10 to 15. Sometimes the budgets that they have, they don't work within what we speak for. Sometimes what they're looking for isn't the right fit. So we end up getting approximately 40% responses on our pitches. And then we'll get to, like I said, between 10 and 15 that we're in negotiating with. And we might end up out of that booking 3 to 5.
Got it. So how many are you doing per month? I can't do the math that quick in my head.
Yeah. So I'm typically speaking 4 to 5 times a month.
Okay, cool. All
And
right.
I try to bundle them. So like right now, as we're recording, I'm in Atlanta. I have 2 speaking engagements. So because I knew I was coming to Atlanta, I tried to see what else I could do while I was here.
Yeah.
So I would reach out to organizations and say, hey, I'm going to be in your city. If you book me, you won't have to pay travel and lodging because I'm already going to be there. So I was able to pick up, came in for 2 and I was able to pick up 4 more. So I'm literally over the next 12 days going to do 6 speaking engagements.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Cool. Well, I want to talk about your faith because you mentioned in 2007, God gave you the idea for your company. So how has your faith like influenced or impact your business?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. Well, first of all, I am a God girl and I do not separate my business from my faith. I believe life and business are congruent. I see it this way, Rachel. Our money says, in God we trust. And every politician ends their speech and says, and God bless America. So we are not a country that is opposed to or absent or void of God, the mention of God. And so I take the stance that if you are inviting me to come, I do not hide who I am. If you go to my website right now, you will see language that shares with you that the work that I do is about helping our clients grow financially and spiritually. So when I go somewhere and I speak, I'm making the assumption that you hired me because you want me to bring that with me because it's coming with me anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's an important part of who I am. I don't usurp my beliefs on anyone, but I hold space for people to find their own way to connect and build relationship with God. And when I say God, we can put a little asterisk there. If you like to say universe or source, God is the creator of the universe. He is the source of all that is good. His Holy Spirit is the spirit that you tap into. So whatever works for you, because I personally, for me, it's not about religion. It's about relationship. All of it works. We all, in my opinion, need to connect to, surrender to, and align with the power that is greater than us, that works through us and allows us to operate in purpose in order to transform the lives of other people. I think at the innate most level, that's why all of us are here, is to be of service to other people. And I believe that being in relationship and connection with the God source is a way to live out that purpose that we've all been given and operate in different ways.
What does it mean to you to make an impact?
Oh gosh, my true mission is that anytime I inhabit a space, it is different for everybody who was in it at the same time. And that's why I am bold and confident and courageous about every part of who I am, because I know that there will be times when people will have to borrow my confidence in order to see things differently for themselves. And if I'm not willing, as a person who is clear and aligned, if I am not willing to be bold and courageous and hold that space for them to find the strength to be the same, then I am actually doing the world a disservice. I think about that Marianne Williamson quote, "Our deepest fear." And part of that poem says, when you let your light shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As you are liberated from your fear, your presence automatically liberates others. My mission, and being this girl that you get to have the opportunity to talk to right now, is that my presence is going to liberate some others. And that's my mission every single day. And that's how I make an impact in one way. The other thing that's important to me is I believe that wealth and abundance is our birthright. I believe that that is why we are here. That is the mandate that God has for us. That is why he sent his son. And in the Bible, 2,300 times, God talks about money, wealth, and possessions. He talks about it so much because we have to master it so that we can live the principles and the promise of abundance. And so my second mission is to talk about money and to teach people about money, to make them uncomfortable, curious, inquisitive, and willing to do things differently so that they can open up abundance in their life experience. I do believe that entrepreneurship is the vehicle that God created for us to experience wealth. And so I do that the most through my work as a business coach and consultant. And my ultimate mission is to change and shift generational trajectories. Most of us came here or were brought here or were not raised in and around money. We don't know what wealth looks like. But I believe that every single one of us can realize and experience wealth. And not just monetary wealth, but wealth in every way, right? The original definition of wealth is wellness and well-being. And I believe that we all, first of all, it's our inherent birthright, and we're all entitled to, and we all deserve it. And so I'm just here doing my part to help everybody that comes into my space, that hears my voice, that shares room with me, to start to hold their head up a little bit more high, to walk with their shoulders back, and to realize that they are worthy and they do deserve to experience all of the abundance that their hand, their heart, and their checking account can hold.
Awesome. What's one of the best books you've read?
Oh my gosh, so many. Okay, so let me tell you the books that changed my life. I have 3 that changed my life. Number 1, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Number 2, A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron and Giocondi. And number 3, the Bible. Those 3 books changed my life. They allow me to see myself the way that God has always seen me. They've given me the confidence and the courage to stop allowing my self-sabotage and limiting beliefs to derail me from the potential that was placed on the inside of me before I was formed in my mother's womb. And they give me permission to take steps every single day to walk that out in real time.
Awesome. Where can we connect with you?
I am available on all social as at Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. And you can learn more about my new book, Move to Millions, The Proven Framework to Become $1 Million CEO with Grace and Ease Instead of Hustle and Grind, at movetomillionsbook.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Darnyelle. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you.